Welcome back to the Black Evolution, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about three topics: presidential debate, Ice Cube, and 50 Cent. Let's get into it. Here we go. So, without further ado, my name is Dabby Daniel, and I have a very special guest in the building by the name of Tyler KiddKlutch Robinson. How you doing, young brother?
I'm good, Daniel, man. Thanks for having me on here, man. It's always good to be here with my boy.
Yep, it's always a pleasure to have you on here, man. So, let's get into it, man. What you think about the presidential debate that happened last night?
I think this one actually looked like a pretty normal presidential debate.
Yeah, last one looked like it was a talking contest, but mostly Trump interrupting every 5 minutes. This one,
I think it was a good idea that they turned off each participant's mic. Other one, I think it worked.
Yep. When people were getting out of line. Oh, you gonna do this and this and that, and Trump all getting out of line. We're gonna have a formal debate. We're gonna get into it. So they did the best they could. Yep. So yeah. So let's get into it, man. So like overall points of the debate. You see how Trump many lies he spread on there? He was spreading misinformation. And whenever they asked him a direct question that he didn't agree with, he deflected. Started talking about Joe Biden. Started talking about this. Started talking about that. At one point, he wasn't even talking about Joe Biden anymore. He was talking about other stuff.
Here's what I don't understand with that. If you're supposed to, he keeps talking about what Joe Biden is not doing, but he's the president right now. He's still not doing none of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is messed up, is that I feel people hold Joe Biden more accountable than they hold the current president. I'm like he was saying with coronavirus, he said Joe Biden didn't do this. He ain't the damn president.
Yeah.
It's like, come on now.
Yep.
What is he gonna do? He ain't the president.
He ain't the president. He's running to be president. He's talking about Trump talking about Biden, what you do, you had 8 years to do this. You had 4 years to do something. You ain't do nothing because you ain't care.
And I believe too. I feel with Donald Trump, he always wants to put everything on everybody else, and put things on Joe Biden in the debate because he doesn't want to talk about policy because he don't know a damn thing about policy.
Yep.
People always saying Trump don't know nothing about politics. Yes, Trump he knows politics in certain ways. That's how he got into office. He knows politics is full of lies. It's full of overpromising, campaigning and stuff.
Yep.
So Trump is the best at that. When it comes to actually governing and doing policy, he doesn't do that. He's ignorant to that.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. We all know this. He's ignorant. Now, by all that being said, what are we going to do to get him out? The only thing we can do to get him out is to be vote and to be active and to do early voting. That's all you were talking about last time we were on the podcast. Your vote matters. Your vote depends on it. And you got to vote like your life depends on it and everything. And you got to get out there and do your part. That's the only thing we can do. But in terms of that presidential debate, it looked like Biden was winning because he brought facts. He went in about, Trump tried to bring in talk stuff about the 94 crime bill. But then Biden came back and said, hey, you support Central Park 5 being killed. And you never apologized for it. You don't always come to me talking about, well, there's this and that. No. You support that. Then you're going to talk about, you're not even going to acknowledge it. That's the problem.
And I also want to add, too, is that he's not candidate Trump anymore. He's President Trump. So you got to demand answers. The people demand answers from this man. Stop sitting around, let him wiggle around this. Because think about it. Joe Biden asked him last night. He said, you keep talking about this. He said, you pay more taxes in China than you do in the United States. And Trump keeps saying, yeah, I pay millions of dollars in taxes. But he told him, he said, show your tax return. I remember Hillary Clinton was telling him that, show his tax return 4 years ago. And I'm not understanding why people are not pressing him more on that. because it's been 4 years and this man we still haven't seen his current tax. He still hasn't released his tax return. And the portion that people have seen is stuff that the New York Times uncovered and found.
Mm-hmm.
So why isn't anybody acting that? We need to know who he owes money to. We need to know if he's the president of Russia or is he an agent or puppet for Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to know. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry about that. We need to know if he's the president of the United States or is he an agent of Russia, North Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and Saudi Arabia. That's what we need to know.
Mm-hmm. Gotta know all these details. We can't just be like, whenever he's talking about tax returns, he always evades the question. That's the thing about Trump. He always be evading questions that he's uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
That's his problem.
And also, too, he kept saying Joe Biden owes money, borrowed money from China and Russia. No, you do.
Mm-hmm.
You have a secret account in China right now.
Yep.
That we know nothing about. And what President Obama said the other night, he said, do you think when I was president that Fox News would have let me get away with it? Mm-hmm. He said, they was like calling me Beijing Barry. And he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Why people keep on making excuses for this man?
Yep.
Hold him accountable like you hold every other president accountable.
Yep.
Because if Biden gets in there, he does certain things. Don't get mad at it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get mad. Y'all sat around for 4 years and let him do whatever.
Yep.
And that's the thing why he's doing it. The media is giving him a pass. The media outlet, the people are giving him a pass. His Republican counterparts, they're giving him a pass. There's so many people.
Yep. It's like, because they don't care. It's all about party. That's people need to realize. It's all about party. It's over values and anything. Like going into the whole Trump having support over the evangelicals. How do you support this man? Oh, he a Christian man. What is so Christian about him?
Uh-huh.
You don't care about that, or is it just that because y'all Republicans, that's why you support him, just because he's a quote unquote Republican? He has none of those values. All he cares about is himself.
And no, Donald Trump. Here's the thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, most of his life is a Democrat. That's what people don't understand. He ran on the Republican ticket because he knows that's the only ticket he can only get the nomination at. That's what people don't understand. Donald Trump is not a Republican in any kind of way. He's not a conservative. He's not that. He owns none of those values. All Donald Trump cares about is money.
Yep. It's all about the money. To be honest with you, it's all about the money.
And another person we need to hold accountable in this conversation too is the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
He's parading around like he's this conservative. He's not. Mitch McConnell is a power-hungry, evil man. That's why him and Donald Trump work so well together.
Of course, you see McConnell's track record. You see, look at how he act. I can just tell by how he act that he is not, has any values and everything else. I can look at his actions. When he talked about reparations, descending to slaves and all that, he's like, oh, well, we ain't do nothing. And there are our minds. It was a long time ago. Y'all need to forget about it. I said right then and there, I can tell who he is.
And he laughed about it. And you know what else he laughed about? His Democratic opponent, she told him, she said, Senator, this HEROES Act bill that was passed by Congress since May has been sitting on your desk since May, and you haven't done anything with stimulus packages and stuff and getting people that's going to get evicted from their homes, the small businesses that need aid. You haven't given them any money. And he just stood there and laughed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was nothing. And this is the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people not understanding that. It's the party of Donald Trump.
Yep.
They do what Donald Trump does. They follow him. They say what he says. Think about this. They keep saying Donald Trump got some of this stuff passed to hurt blacks and hurt certain groups. How do you think he got his ass? You sit in the Senate.
Yep.
They hold the majority.
Yep.
And that's what people don't understand it. Donald Trump cannot get nothing passed without Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
And the Republicans. That's another thing too. We can't just take back the White House. We got to get the Senate and we got to retain the Congress.
Yep. I agree with you.
Get anything seriously done.
Yep.
And I'm tired of these people with the Joe Biden thing. They keep saying he wrote the down crime bill. Yeah, he wrote the down crime bill. Get over it.
Yep.
He explained to you why he wrote it. Accept it or not.
Yep.
But y'all not. They keep wanna say he wrote the crime bill, but they won't hold Trump accountable. Trump is the person. Last night he said that Joe Biden said that he stood by what he did with the Central Park Five.
Mm-hmm. It tells you who he is.
And Trump never denied it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing too, people keep saying Joe Biden wrote the crime bill. The crime bill was not meant to lock black people up. And it actually, all it did was lock up drug dealers and drug addicts.
Yep.
And what Joe Biden said is, too, he's been reiterating is that I did not write the crime bill to put drug addicts in jail. I wrote the mandate telling the states and stuff that drug addicts need to go to rehabilitation centers to get help.
Yep.
He said drug dealers were the ones that were going to jail because they was harming people in the community.
Yep.
And the drugs are killing so many kids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't understand that. But with Donald Trump, you gotta understand that. There was a guy that Joe Biden said last night, Rudy Giuliani.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give you a little backstory on Rudy Giuliani.
Go ahead, brother. Educate the people.
Rudy Giuliani was actually the head of the Southern District of New York. He was a U.S. attorney. He took down mob figures. He took down all people. Well, you know who else he took down? Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of them. Innocent black people. Guilty black people. It didn't matter. And this is what people got to understand too. Where do you think Stop and Frisk came from?
Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani.
Yep. There was a mayor at the time. His name was Rudy Giuliani.
Yep.
He wrote the Stop and Frisk law
Mm-hmm.
in New York City and implemented that. And after that, Mike Bloomberg, he followed that system and expanded it. But Rudy Giuliani is the architect of. He's the architect of that Stop and Frisk. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
But Rudy Giuliani, after he was the mayor, he floated around and tried to run for president, but he didn't. He was unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
So a few years ago, Rudy Giuliani, you know what he became? Donald Trump's personal lawyer.
Yep.
Now he's over there promoting conspiracy theories that Russia gave him.
Yep.
And he's trying to discourage blacks from voting.
Yep.
Discourage anybody from voting against Trump. And that's what people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about a crime bill that ineffectively affected some people. Sorry about that. I said that wrong. A crime bill that indirectly affected black people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing the wrong thing. But y'all won't hold the person accountable that wrote the thing, harass and terrorize black people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching MSNBC the other night, and somebody said what happened to America's mayor, and he's talking about Rudy Giuliani, because that's what they called him after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
He did well with 9/11. And they said this is what all America's mayor's always been. And white people are finally getting to see who Rudy Giuliani really is.
Mm-hmm.
The architect of a crime bill, a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people don't understand. Research these politicians. Don't look at one thing, look at every damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at these bills. Look at the people they put in their cabinet. Look at the people they associate with.
There's an old saying that I'm sure you know this, Tyler. It's called birds of a feather flock together. Exactly.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together. Know who they associate with. You talking about this and that and everything. And people don't understand that. Look who they associate with. Just follow the money, number one, and follow who they associate with. Trump, he also wants to be a wannabe dictator. He associates with Kim Jong-un, he associates with Vladimir Putin, and who he owes money to, that we now find out he owes money to. And if that happens, it's like, okay, if you owe money to them people, then no wonder why you don't speak out against them.
Yeah.
There's no question. Go ahead.
I want to add one thing to that. Is that too? Trump, you say he's the wannabe dictator. He is. And another thing too, what people keep not understanding is Trump does not act like a president. He acts like a mob boss.
Yep.
That's what he wants.
Stand back and stand by to the Proud Boys and all these other mob tactics and threatening people and do me a favor and all that stuff. Yeah, he wants to, like you said, he wants to be a mob boss.
And people, I don't understand them. They're not understanding is this. They keep saying that he's with law and order. If you believe by now that he's with law and order, there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he wanted to enforce the law, he would have did it.
Yep.
If he's for law and order, why would he hire a bunch of criminals in his cabinet?
Mm-hmm.
If he's for law and order, how come he won't do anything about police brutality? Think about that.
Because he doesn't know or he doesn't care. He said yesterday about Black Lives Matter, I don't know what they're all about. Yes, you do. You know what they're all about. How can you not when you live in this country and you know, and you've seen the news, if you've seen the internet, it's all over the internet. When George Floyd's situation happened, when Breonna's situation happened, it was all over the internet. If you don't know what Black Lives Matter is all about, then you're either ignorant or just a damn fool.
Yeah. And this man is in the White House. He get all the information, all the briefings, but he don't seem to know.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Attorney General Bill Barr. He acts like he don't know what the white supremacy. White supremacy doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You get all the briefings, intelligence briefings, and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And switching gears to speaking about Donald Trump and Black America, let's talk about the Ice Cube situation, man. So Ice Cube recently, he made a decision to make a contract for Black America. He then decided to speak to both parties, or both parties contacted him about the contract with Black America. Joe Biden said, his team said, hey, listen, we will contact you after the election, after we win the election. The Trump campaign said, we'll take a look at it, quote unquote, take a look. And now there was some controversy with that and everything. Things are getting out of hand. People were saying Ice Cube is a Trump supporter. I want to get your personal thoughts on this situation, Tyler, on what Ice Cube did.
Well, first of all, I want to say he's denying that he's a Trump supporter. He may not be a Trump supporter by choice, but he's a Trump supporter now. Because when you stood up, well, he didn't stand up there yet, but when you took that man's call and you say, yeah, I want to meet with you and I want to talk about this during election season, and you're saying, oh, I don't regret anything, you are a Trump supporter. Because you're not saying, okay, I'm going to wait to act the election, I'm going to talk to whichever one is, I'm going to talk to him either, whether he wins or loses. You could have waited a few weeks and did that.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't. You could have went through the proper channels to help you get that stuff fast, but you didn't. So to me, it's like you're being arrogant about your decision. You want to be the one, you want to be the crusade. You want everybody to say, look what Ice Cube did for Black America. You want everybody to say, look, the Congressional Black Caucus can do it for 50 years. They couldn't do it for all these years. Our ancestors can do this, but Ice Cube did it. That's what I think. I'm not going to sit here and say that he doesn't care about the Black community, but I think he cares about the way he looks in history. He wants to be the he wants it for vanity purposes, and his arrogance to feed his ego. That's how I feel. Because Ice Cube could have went to the proper channels to get it done. And actually, too, what I've discovered is the actual bill that Ice Cube is talking about for reparations has been passed for months now by the Congress, Democratic Congress. But the Republicans have it sitting on their desk, Mitch McConnell. Why don't you go meet with Mitch McConnell? He's the one with the real power.
Yep. The president don't have no power. All he does is, quote unquote, veto bills and put executive orders. But it's really the Senate and the House that has the real power to pass the laws. You have to go through them to get anything passed.
But you know how you don't want to do that? He doesn't know how to do that because he's ignorant. And there's nothing wrong with being ignorant, but You want to know? I always say this, and I heard Stephen A. Smith say it. You want to know why I'm so brilliant? Because I prefer to those that are more brilliant and know more about a subject.
Yep.
It's okay to get help with stuff.
But don't be going out there talking about something you don't know what you're talking about, or planning something and you have no idea what you're doing. Because I feel like with Ice Cube situation, my thoughts on it is, okay, you come in with a contract with Black America. Great. Go through the proper channels, talk to Joe Biden's team and what have you. And my thing is, with Ice Cube, you made a mistake going to Trump's team because, number one, I understand with his comment. We had an interview with CNN, so with Chris Cuomo. He said, quote, Trump's the president. He's in power. He's in charge. Why can't we talk to him? You know his character. That's why. You know full well that he doesn't care about Black people. He flat out tells you every day. So why would you associate or think about associating with him? Go with the party that's for you. Go with the party that you know that, hey, we may have some disagreements, but you can kind of go to them and be like, hey, listen, here's what I'm proposing. He said but Joe Biden people said wait till after the election. I feel like with Ice Cube, he kind of got impatient to be like, no, we need this now. We need this now. I said, you could have waited until Joe Biden was, elected, and he's going to be elected for president. You could have waited until then, but instead you wanted to rush to get things done. And I'm just like, you can't be rushing it. You got to go through the proper channels. You go through the proper channels and everything else. Then you can talk. But don't be rushing to go to Donald Trump when you know his history, you know his character, and you still can go to him anyway. You shouldn't have did that. And now you're guilty by association, associated with Donald Trump, and you're being called a Trump supporter. If you wouldn't went to Trump in the first place, you wouldn't be in this mess.
And I agree with you on, I echo all those sentiments. And I have a problem too with certain Black people, big Black figures out here, because they're not really calling out Ice Cube. When Steve Harvey went and visited with President-elect Donald Trump in 2017, the week before the inauguration, he caught a lot of flack. They was calling him Uncle Tom and
Coon and Sambo and all that. Yeah, I remember that.
And Steve Harvey was actually received a call from the Trump transition team and officials from the Obama administration encouraging him to go meet with Donald Trump to talk about these issues. But where I have a problem with that, nobody's saying you can't deal with both sides. But we're saying do it at the right time. Steve Harvey did nothing wrong. Only thing I say I disagreed with Steve Harvey was that he went the week before Donald Trump became president. I wouldn't have a problem if he went and met with President Trump the week after he got inaugurated at the White House. Because he was the new president. So that's no problem. But I have a problem with Ice Cube because you're interfering in a campaign that's a dire need.
Yep.
That you could influence for years to come.
Yep.
That's what I have a problem with. You could have waited till after the election and you could have dealt with both sides.
Yep.
And how do you think these issues will get done if Joe Biden doesn't get elected president?
Yep.
How? Yeah, and I want to ask you this too, Ice Cube. I'm talking strictly to you, Ice Cube.
Go ahead, brother.
If Donald Trump was so damn concerned about Black people, how come he waited till it was re-election season to call you?
Yeah.
And he's been president since 2017.
Yep.
Why, Ice Cube? And also, I want to add another thing to that. You said the Trump campaign contacted you, and you got in contact with them. Why is if Trump is the president, why is the campaign contacting you instead of the Trump administration?
Yep.
You don't think that odd?
You don't find that suspicious?
Of the United States have his campaign officials contacting you instead of having somebody from his administration? Because you know why? That's what he thinks of you. He don't think you're good enough to come in the White House. He don't think you're good enough to sit there and articulate what you need. And you know why? Another thing too, why hasn't Trump contacted the Black leaders and actually met with some of them on specific issues? How come he hasn't contacted Congress to get things done if he was serious, like you? You want to know why he contacted you? Because you are a Black celebrity, and that's all he thinks of you as. He don't think you're smart. He don't think you accomplished. he thinks you a black nigga that don't know nothing.
Yep.
And you proved him right.
Well, those are some strong words, Tyler. But I agree with what you were saying. That, hey, with Ice Cube, he should have thought it out more. And he should have planned ahead instead of just going to the Trump campaign or going to the, he should have go through the proper channels. You don't go to somebody who you know, based upon his track record, that he does not like black people. You see with the whole thing with Diamond and Silk and all them people and what they were doing on Fox News and stuff like that. He came to them and said, "Oh, hey, look at him. Come on, do routine." Basically, he was telling them to dance, Negro dance. That's all he was telling them. I'm just come out and say it. That's basically what he was telling them. So this is what he thinks of black people. He's shown you over and over and over again. This is what he thinks of you. Yet you went to him anyway to talk about the contract of Black America.
His former attorney, Michael Cohen, said this. He said they was riding around in Chicago on their way to Trump Tower in Chicago, and he said only black people can live this way. Mm-hmm. And he told them too. He said it was one instance when Trump and him was sitting in Trump's office, and Trump was watching Nelson Mandela's funeral, and he said Trump said, he said, why are they celebrating this man? And he said he made Africa a shithole. Mm-hmm. And he asked him, he said, Mr. Trump, why do you think Africa's a shithole? He said, because it's ran by a black person. Mm-hmm. And he asked him, he asked Michael Cohen, he said, name a country ran by a black person that's not a shithole. And he said, well, America. And he looked at Michael Cohen like, F you. Mm-hmm. And think about that. That's what he thinks of you.
Yep. Ice Cube.
He doesn't like any black people, especially black people with power. He don't love black women either. And that's what he was saying. Anybody that's willing to put their reputation on the line for Trump, they deserve what they have coming. Mm-hmm. And I ask you this, Ice Cube, is Trump worth losing your career over? Is Trump worth damaging your reputation? Because this is what he does to black men. He puts them in front of the camera. He takes a picture with them. He smiles and acts like they his friends. And he talk a lot of shit about them after they leave. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Look how high I got that nigga." Mm-hmm. And you know what else he does? Anytime somebody calls a racist, he can say, "No, I'm not racist."
Look, Ice Cube supports me. That's all he does. That's bottom line. Bottom line is that's all he wanted. Just a black person to say, "Oh, look, we have a black person to support us." That's all it was. That's all it was. Simple as that.
And Ice Cube also said on the God Limit on Chris Cuomo, he said, Chris Cuomo asked him, "Don't you think he's using you?" He said, "Yeah, he's using me. I don't care." So, okay, now you know he's using you.
And you admit it.
High and dry, don't sit here and get mad and say you didn't know what he was doing.
You knew what you doing.
You knew now. Yeah. You could get on national TV and say that you know he's using you. And you online being used, that you want to get this done. So I ask you this. When Donald Trump leaves you high and dry, or if he gets reelected, don't sit here and act like you don't know what's going on, because it's your fucking doing. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And speaking of Donald Trump and the presidency and the election, Ice Cube and some of that, let's switch gears to 50 Cent. Lord have mercy. Where do I begin? He said, and I quote, "Black people need to vote for Trump." That was the most ignorant, idiotic statement I ever heard from 50 Cent. I knew he was a jerk, but this, oh no. What do you think, Tyler? What's your thoughts on that?
When I saw that, I said that was low even for 50 Cent. 50 Cent, that really convinced me that he's really a shitty person. Mm. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because I was a fan of him or it was to where I didn't know he was that shitty. Because I gotta think about it. A person that don't want nothing to do with their son and treats their son like shit, I can't put nothing past a person like that. Mm-hmm. So here's what I gotta say with him. With 50 Cent. Is Donald Trump worth losing your career over? And I saw a tweet. I saw an Instagram post he put up where he said, "Oh no, I gotta vote for Trump because I don't want to be 20 cents." Is Donald Trump worth being 20 cents over? Because that's what you're gonna be after he gets finished with your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget where you came from, 50. It's not about your money. It's all right. You gotta pay a little money. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not counting the man money. I never do that, but it's okay. You gotta pay a little extra to help the community and help your race. But that would get, if you have to do that, that will help them get more money and put more money in your pocket if they're buying your product. That's the thing I don't understand with that. It makes no sense, 50. You're a horrible, shitty person, and you should never be able to have a TV career ever again. And I'm sorry, I don't usually say cancel people, but you need to be canceled because what you did is low down.
Yep.
And not only did you say you was voting for him, you're encouraging people to vote for him. How inconsiderate are you?
And you know Trump's history. You know his track record too.
Yep.
So vote for him. Why?
And you were a man. You came from the streets. You was a drug dealer.
Yep.
Worked hard to get to where you at. To let this man do this to you? What is it? I want to ask black men, these prominent black celebrities, what is it about Trump? Or some of these ignorant black men. Yeah. What is it about Trump? Because it's disappointing me. I'm getting tired of it. What is it about him? Out of all these presidents, all these Republicans, Democrats, every day, what is it about him? Because I don't understand how you can vote for a man like that. He can't even put a sentence together for me to vote for him. Yep. So what is it? Are you that weak-minded? Or is it, do you think if you come closer to Trump, it makes you right? Do you think if you come closer to Trump, you're going to get the same respect that somebody like him would get? Yep.
It all goes back to the poverty mentality. And that's what I feel with some of these quote-unquote black celebrities. These Uncle Toms out here going up to Trump and doing this and that. And I'm like, my thing is, what's wrong with you? You know his character. You can't pretend like, oh, I didn't know this. No, you know. You see him on TV. You see him what he do. You can't just be like, oh, well, I didn't know his character. I didn't know this. You know. But you sitting there going up to him anyway. Why? Because you want to, be quote unquote associated with him and get some quote unquote money and ultimately feel validated. Oh, look at what I'm doing. I'm the only person out here. I'm the only Negro out here. How come all these other people ain't out here with me? I'm the only person out here. There's a reason why you're the only person out there.
Preach.
There's a reason for that. People don't want to be associated with you.
Yeah. And why would you associate yourself with a person like Donald Trump? That's wrong on so many levels. Here's the thing too. If somebody told me this before, they said you can't talk black and live white. And I think that's what 50 Cent and a lot of these black celebrities, they think it.
They think when they get that money, it all goes back to the money too. When they get that money, they feel like, oh, nobody can touch me, nobody can control me, and this and that. And I don't have to care about the black community no more because I'm a celebrity and I have this and that. All you are is a regular citizen that has a whole bunch of money.
It's like Jay-Z said in his song, The Story of O.J., he said it's like what O.J. Simpson used to say. He said, I'm not black, I'm O.J. And I think a lot of these black celebrities are trying to get like that. And they're thinking, oh, if I become this, I become that. I don't have to deal with these problems. Yes, you do.
Yep. LeBron James has to still deal with racism, and he's a 4-time NBA champion. I think a couple years ago, he was coming home to his house, and somebody spread the N-word right on his mansion gate, or near his property. So if he has to deal with the racism, we all have to deal with it. Racism is not a class thing. It's all about people. One group of people who do not like another group of people who will do whatever it takes to keep you down and keep you out of power. And that's why black people need to be educated and be politically educated and know who's in power and know their policies and everything else and research these bills like you said earlier.
And another thing too I want to add to that is like the black race. Why are we the only race that does not embrace our culture, our family? Why do we hate our ancestors so bad? That's what I don't understand. You go to any other community and they care for their family members, they embrace them.
Yep.
They do this and that. But it's like black people, they want to go far and far away from them.
It's because, like I said earlier, Tyler, that poverty mentality. Poverty.
Yep.
That poverty mentality all goes back to the money and that poverty mentality. That idea of thinking that white people is better has been ingrained in some of these people. Their father taught them that, their grandfather taught them that, their parents taught them that, so on and so forth. That, oh, these group of people are better than us. And so we have to associate with them because we feel bad about ourselves. We don't want to be associated with our group of people. And so we got to associate with them. And so because we going to feel validated and we're going to feel like we've arrived. And that's the problem. You need to embrace yourself instead of hating yourself.
I see it with a lot of these black men out here now, and a lot of Latino men, they still, if they're close to Trump, it's going to make them white. I got some news for you. If you're black or brown, you can never turn white. They work for the Irish, they work for the Jewish, they work for those other communities because they have white skin. It's not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't understand.
They don't.
Yeah. The best way to do it is to stay loyal to your people.
Mm-hmm.
You can rise up together.
Yep. And build businesses, build communities, get politically educated, put yourselves in power.
Yeah. Even if you do it, it's still, if you're the 1% and you're the only one that did it, it's still 99% of black people behind you and brown people behind you.
Yep.
They can't do it. So you're still not accomplishing nothing because when stuff go down, who had your back?
Mm-hmm.
O.J. Simpson. When stuff went down in his murder trial with his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, who had his back? Black people. Bill Cosby, who had his back?
Black people.
R. Kelly, who had his back all these years? Black people. And that's what people don't understand that. It doesn't matter. Because I remember D.L. Hughley was saying when President Obama, it was in 2016, he had this foundation called My Brother's Keeper. He had prominent black people come down there he invited to come and speak. And he said that he got the call from President Obama and he said, you want to know the thing that made me so proud with this man? He said if he would have been another president, he said, they probably would have never had this connection. They probably would have never spoke or got to meet each other. And he said, you want to know what linked us together? He said, the color of our skin. And that's what people don't understand. And you're still black. Yeah. And that's why I really respect a lot of Obama is they still help their black people. And that's the thing, too. They never forgot about them.
Yeah. Yeah, so but basically, Tyler, I understand. Go ahead, brother.
That's all I had on that one.
Yeah, and so to summarize this podcast, we feel two things. Trump lost the debate. Biden clearly dominated and won that debate because it was a formal debate. Ice Cube, know who you're working with, man. Don't be just going to people just to go on to people and you don't know you know their character and you associate with them anyway. 50 Cent is 50 Cent. This is who his character is. This is who he is as a person. So I'm not surprised at what he does. Nothing he does surprises me. He betrays the closest friends and he allies with the enemies. So that's just who he is. But this is Dab Nail, and I just want to say this concludes Dab Nail podcast on the presidential debate, 50 Cent and Ice Cube. Tune in next time. We're going to talk about more topics, including the police brutality and other things. Tyler, it's a pleasure to have you, my brother.
Thanks for having me, brother.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
All right. This is Dab Nail, and I'm signing off.